This season officially has some of the wildest strategy that I've ever seen in this game. I mean, the gameplay has been all over the place, but you know what? There has not been a single boring week yet. There is going to be a lot to talk about today, including a brand new nominee that I don't think anybody saw coming. But before we get into all that, of course, I'm going to ask if you would please hit that subscribe button below. Also, if you have been enjoying my videos this season, it would really mean the world to me if you would consider making a donation to my channel. Of course, it's optional, but donations do really go a long way because making these videos and gathering all these clips really does take a lot of time out of my schedule. If you are unable to donate though, there is no worries at all because likes and subscribes are of course always free. Now without further ado, let's get started. So when we last left off, Lauren had just won the veto, and of course she was still undecided on whether or not she was going to use it. Throughout the day, people are going to keep on pulling her back and forth with this decision, and Lauren actually has a pretty interesting journey throughout the day, so I'm just going to tell most of this from her perspective. She has already talked to Vince, who of course has tried to weasel himself off the block, and she talked to Katherine too, but Katherine was actually pushing her away from using it. So overall, Lauren is still pretty undecided. So Lauren is going to start off by talking to Mickey, who really does want her to use it so that there's a chance that her whole little melting pot crew will be safe. And again, Lauren is still really hesitant at this point because she doesn't know who the replacement nom would be, but she said she would be okay with using it if someone like Keanu were to go on the block.
If I knew that it was somebody like Keanu going up, yeah, then you would feel more inclined. I think that's fair. And technically that would be something on your resume and hers.
A lot of people are actually speculating that Keanu was going to be the replacement nominee at first, but of course nobody else really knows how close Keanu and Rachel have gotten over the past couple weeks, so that's really not going to go down the way they think it is. Next up, Lauren is going to go to meet with Keanu, who is going to suggest that she not use the veto. Now, even though Keanu is super duper close to Vince, he feels like Vince is going to be safe with the votes no matter what. So there's really no need for Lauren to risk her relationship with Rachel. And you know what? For once, Keanu probably is right about the votes, but still, from Lauren's perspective, it's probably a riskier move.
If your intention is to use it to save Vinny specifically, I would recommend not doing that, because as long as you're willing to vote for him, in any scenario, he's not going to go home. Because we already have 4 votes. Rylie, Katherine, Kelley, myself, and you all voting for Vinny means he stays.
And now it is Vince's turn, who is gonna spend by far the most time talking to Lauren about this. She is still really hesitant at this point. She is afraid of the optics. She is afraid of pissing Rachel off. She's afraid because she doesn't know who the replacement would be. But of course, Vince is just gonna keep on pressuring her and being super duper insistent and pretty much trying to counter every single excuse that she has.
Who the fuck would it be? Ashley's the only logic. It's Ashley or Kelley. It has to be. And Kelley, she goes up. Who gives a fuck? She'll win Blockbuster. And then it's between Mickey, Mark, and Mickey goes. If it's Ashley, she's such a non-entity in this game that who gives a fuck who she's sitting next to? Whoever's sitting next to her goes.
Again, she spends by far the most time with Vince out of everybody, and overall her main goal seems to be to keep Vince safe at all costs anyway, so by the end of this conversation we kind of get a good sense of where her head's at. It feels like Lauren's mind is officially made up and that she will be using the veto. Now if we're being honest, Vince was always the only option here. He was the only one that Lauren would ever realistically consider using the veto on, but that doesn't mean that Morgan isn't gonna try anyway. Now it is Morgan's turn to try to beg for the veto, and she's gonna start off her pitch by grabbing blankets and ice cream and trying to have girl talk and bond with Lauren over Zach. And yes, I am so serious. Morgan has just been so distraught ever since she voted Zach out, and now she's gonna try to use this grief to kind of get herself off the block. First, Morgan tells Lauren all about Zach Zach's secret power and how the only reason why he didn't use it was to keep her and Lauren safe, which I don't think is the truth. I don't remember Zach saying anything about Lauren. But because of that, Zach would obviously want Lauren to use the veto on Morgan because obviously he wants these girls to work together, right? It really is such a reach, and Morgan just eventually becomes so dramatic and starts doing all this crying and stuff, and it really is ridiculous.
So now you can understand why I've been like literally not okay.
Yeah. Oh my God, Morgan.
Because it's like he sacrificed himself to save.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's been like killing me. And I haven't been able to talk about it with anyone because nobody knows.
Now, this conversation isn't really going to have any effect on Lauren's decision whatsoever. It's just something funny to point out. The real drama is actually going to come later on when Lauren finally decides to sit and talk with Rachel. Lauren lets Rachel know that she's probably going to end up using the veto, and at first Rachel's pretty soft with it. She is offering to work with Lauren and saying that she wants to start building an alliance with her, maybe even possibly taking her to the final two.
Like, I'm offering you an alliance. I'm offering to work with you to be your ally. Mm-hmm. You and I could take on this house together.
Yeah.
I know Vince is great and he is not going to go anywhere. He's like got the votes to stay, but also like he could win the blockbuster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even if he didn't, he has the vote. Nobody's voting him out of this house.
But still, you can tell that Lauren doesn't really want to use it. She's not really making any eye contact, and she's acting like she just doesn't know what to say. This whole conversation just ends up being very awkward and very tense. Like, at one point, Rachel is just staring at Lauren, like eyes piercing at her, as Lauren's just awkwardly trying to apply her makeup and just like pretend like she's not in that room. Eventually, Rachel starts to get a little frustrated, and she decides to warn Lauren that she doesn't actually know who that replacement nominee is going to be, so don't just assume that it's going to be Kelley going up on that block. It is just very much awkward and very tense in that HOH room, and the feeds actually cut right in the middle of this conversation, so heading into the nominations, we honestly don't know what's about to happen, but we can just feel like something very, very big is about to go down with this veto. When the feeds do eventually come back on, we see that Vince has indeed been removed from the block, and right there in his place sits Rylie? Whoa, 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 whoa. Now, I was not expecting this result at all. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the concept, but I just don't see the vision because I really don't think that this is smart for Rachel's game. I mean, sure, Rylie probably sucks out in the real world, but him and Katherine were solidly on Rachel's side, especially since she's been so supportive of their showmance. And on the other hand, someone like Kelley was, and probably will always be very anti-Rachel. In fact, ever since these nominations have happened, Kelley has been running around the house trying to secure these numbers and form this alliance for the sole purpose of targeting Rachel. I also think it was a pretty big mistake for her to blindside her own allies along with Rylie with these nominations. I mean, don't get me wrong, I personally don't mind the nomination at all, but if she's gonna make an enemy out of Rylie, then I feel like she should make sure she has the numbers to back it up first. And right now, honestly, it's looking kind of iffy because Rachel definitely made some enemies with this one.
Rachel, why'd you do that?
I think that I told Lauren to fuck around and find out, and unfortunately, I came to play Big Brother.
If Rachel does truly want Rylie to leave, then she would need for Keanu to vote him out. And right now, Keanu is like very, very, very pro Rylie, even though Rylie does not like Keanu like at all. So now Keanu is actually kind of mad at Rachel because he feels like she's trying to take away his allies. Even though Rachel has warned him that Rylie doesn't really like him and Rylie wants to get him out, Keanu is just not believing her. So right now, Keanu is still actively trying to keep Rylie in the game, even though Rylie is just flat out lying to his face.
I never wanted your ass out of here. Vince never wanted your ass out of here, and there's a lot of people in here that didn't.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Have you ever told her that you wanted me out of here?
Hell no.
Okay.
No, I haven't told nobody that I wanted you out of this fucking house. You have never even came out of my mouth, and I've told you that.
I know.
And if she said that bullshit, she's a lying motherfucker.
So as it stands right now, if Rylie wins that blockbuster, it's obviously really bad news for Rachel. But on the other hand, if he manages to lose and he is still on the block, then the numbers still might be in his favor anyway. There are just certain people who are gonna vote for Rylie to stay no matter what, and that is Katherine, Lauren, Kelley, and maybe even Keanu. Even Vince is a potential Rylie vote here, and really he's kind of in the most awkward spot because Rylie, Morgan, and Mickey a little bit all think that he's on their side. So overall, right now, Keanu and Vince both look to be the swing votes, and unfortunately for Rachel, they're kind of swinging over towards Rylie's side. Now, if Rylie does end up winning that blockbuster and the vote comes down between Mickey and Morgan, then Mickey is the one who's looking to be in the most trouble. First of all, Rylie is still very much pissed at her for taking away his HOH, so him and Katherine would vote her out so fast. And in the past couple days, even Ashley and Will have started to distance himself away from Mickey a little bit, with Ashley coming out to admit that she regrets defending Mickey and vouching for her so much earlier in the week. And with their votes fading away, it's just really not looking good for Mickey in general. So that's all I have for you today. Of course, I want to know, what do you all think of this move, and what do you think of Rachel's HOH reign so far? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, there is going to be a lot of action the next couple days as these house guests scramble to figure out who to vote out. So things are probably going to shift and change, but of course I'll be back here sometime on Wednesday just to update you all with where the house stands. But until then, bye.